Hey, this is Luke, the Metroidvania Guru. Thanks for joining the first part of my multi-part series where I take every Metroidvania in existence and put it into a tier list. That's not incredibly original, I know, but it sounds fun, so I'm going to do it. There are a ton of Metroidvanias out there, so I'm going to be doing this in chunks. You'll see I have 10 different Metroidvanias down there. I used a randomized picker to pick the ones that I'll be using today. I think that's the best approach to this because there are so many Metroidvanias out there. I don't think doing every single one in one video is going to be very good, specifically because there's just so many and I wouldn't be able to talk about them. So this approach works for me so I can at least give some time to titles that I feel need that time. That way I can kind of justify why I'm putting them, where I'm putting them on this list. As for the picks today, again, I use that random picker thingy, and I'm surprised. I picked a lot of actually well-known and popular Metroidvania, so this should be interesting. But preamble aside, let's get started. All right, first up we have Aggelos. So hopefully I can say that right. It's Latin for angel or something like that, which might be a spoiler for the game, but whatever, it is what it is. So Aggelos is man, I loved this Metroidvania. I had heard some things from people talking about it, and there were some trusted YouTubers that I watched that review specific Metroidvanias, and every single one of them said that this one was pretty much a great hidden gem of Metroidvanias. I'm going to go ahead and put it in B tier for now. I want everyone to know that I have reserved the right to move things any way that I want, but I think it's a solid B, high B, I would imagine. Kind of unfortunate because it's the first one that we're throwing on here, but yeah, I would say it's a high B tier. It plays very much like an old school Wonder Boy game, which is, that takes me back. I loved Wonder Boy growing up, and it does a really good job. You kill enemies, big old coins pop out, and you got to run around and collect them. And there's just something like very, I don't know, it just hits my lizard brain just right, where it's like, yes, all the dopamine comes out because I get to collect all these coins. There's a lot of other really cool things about it too, just like the equipment that you got to find, the backtracking. I'm kind of like going off the top of my head. It's been a minute since I played the game, but I remember this one part where you got to get this specific sword, the dragon sword, I think is what it's called, and it's a pretty powerful sword. And in order to get it, you have to do some sort of maze or something like that. And in order to get the directions to go through the maze properly, you have to do all kinds of things. You got to learn how to talk to animals. You got to talk to this monkey. You got to do this other thing. A lot of things kind of come together to get you what you need in order to acquire that sword. And once you get that sword, it's a pretty big deal too, because there's a very significant difficulty spike in the game right before you fight this dragon. And when you have the dragon sword, it makes that fight so much more manageable. I remember actually getting into that dragon and just getting my butt handed to me, man. It was just like, gosh. So finding that dragon sword and everything leading up to finding it was super cool. And that's just one of many really cool things. There's this whole legendary armor kind of side quest that you got to do, gathering all this really cool equipment and fighting these optional bosses. So yeah, I highly recommend Aggelos. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Gosh, yeah, I'm just even sitting here talking about it is making me super happy. Maybe I will put it as an A. I don't know. We'll see. But a high B definitely. I recommend this game. Gosh, it's so fun. Oh boy. Next up we got Astalon, Tears of the Earth. If you watched my top 10 Metroidvanias of all time or whatever I call that video, you'll know that I am absolutely in love with this game. I think Astalon, Tears of the Earth. Gosh, I can't remember. Yeah, Tears of the Earth. God, it's such a really good game. I'll put it as a high A right now. I think S tiers, that's going to be for those really exemplary kind of apotheosis of the Metroidvania genre. So I don't think it's there, but it's definitely really fantastic. Maybe mid to high A. I don't know. We'll throw it in there for now in the A's. Pretty comfortable with that. What did I like about Astalon? So much, I guess I'll start out with why I almost didn't play the game, and that's because it has this character swapping mechanic that I just hate in video games. It's cool if you can swap them on the fly, but you couldn't do that at the beginning of Astalon. You had to swap characters at campsites, and Eventually you do get an item, spoilers I suppose, sorry about that, but eventually you get an item that does let you swap on the fly, and it makes the game just so much better in my opinion. But like, yeah, each character has their own specific thing. Like the girl archer, Kayuli, I think is her name. She can like jump up and like she doesn't have a double jump. She can kick off walls, right? And so she can get a little higher. Then there's Aggelos, I think is the name of the blue knight guy, and he can chop down vines. And then there's the wizard dude, Aggelos. Gosh, I hope I'm getting these names right. But Aggelos like can use his special move to, or his attack to like open up magical orbs or something like that, which open up doors and shortcuts and stuff. So yeah, each character has this kind of like traversal thing that they do, and in the beginning it's kind of rough because like you don't know the layout of the game, and so you kind of go forward and then you get stopped because you're Aggelos and there's a blue vine in the way, so you got to backtrack back to the camp. Now it's not too bad, but it is obnoxious. But yeah, ultimately you do got to do some backtracking back. What I liked about the game so much, I thought the music was pretty good. I loved the environment you were in, the tower. You know, the story is basically like you guys are from this town and it's getting poisoned, and the water is getting poisoned, and this poison is coming from this tower, and so you're going there to stop it, right? And this tower just has so many hidden things, like, and what's really cool is like every room that you enter is like a square. I don't know, gosh, I'm really stupid at trying to describe things, but basically you like what you see in the room is what you get, right? Like there's no scrolling through the room, nothing like that. It's like bam, all the information is right there for you to digest, and you can do it just like that. I really liked that aspect of the level design in Astalon. Got so many hidden things, shortcuts that you don't even know are there, and then when you find them, you're like, oh, that's so cool. You know how that is in Metroidvanias when you're like, you see that shortcut hidden in plain sight, and you're just like kicking yourself in the butt. You're like, oh man, that's awesome. That game is full of that kind of stuff. The bosses weren't super challenging. There's one that's really stupid too. I think it's the second boss. It's like, I don't know, like a flying worm thing. That boss sucked. But other than that, everything's really cool in it. Yeah, I can go on and on about Astalon. I really think you should play this game. If the character swapping mechanic really kind of turns you off, just know that there is an item that you do get in the game. I want to say it's in like the third biome though, so it takes a minute, but I don't know, it took me a few hours to get it. But anyway, you can switch on the fly and it makes the game so much better. So yeah, highly recommend Astalon. Take a look at that one. Next up is Axiom Verge 2. Don't have one on the list yet, but I guess we're going to start with the sequel. I also did this game in my top 10 Metroidvanias of all time, just throwing that out there. So yeah, I really do like this game a lot. I prefer it to the first one in that the first one was very combat focused. This one was not. It focused more on exploration. And I just really liked that, especially because it had this kind of like, you had the regular kind of open world, which Thomas Happ, the developer of the game, he said the inspiration for his open world, the one where you're controlling the main character, her name slips my mind at this moment, but that was inspired by Breath of the Wild, and so you can kind of see it. Obviously it's a 2D platformer game, so it's not exactly like Breath of the Wild, but you get it once you play the game. Then there's like this whole other map in the Breach, which if you play the game, you know what I'm talking about. If you play the first one, you kind of understand what the Breach is. So the way these two maps work together is pretty cool. I really liked it. The whole drone part of the game is just amazing. I love it. And then like the actual narrative to the game is pretty great. Like if you take a look at Axiom Verge 2 and take a look at the lore, it's pretty darn deep. However, in Axiom Verge 2, they don't really focus on that lore. It's in the background. You can read stuff and people say things, obviously, but it really is focused around the central conflict of the main character trying to find her daughter and trying to figure out what's going on. And so it keeps everything really grounded, even though there's this huge weird narrative in the background. But yeah, I dig the deep narrative, the deep lore in this game too. I'm like super invested into it, so I can't wait for Axiom Verge 3. Hopefully he does something like that. Anyway, I'm stalling. If we take a look, man, I'm gonna put it, I would put Axiom Verge 2 right here above Aggelos. Yeah, we'll keep it in B. It's a really good game. I just think, obviously there's some other better games out there. I don't know. Like, I didn't like the music in Axiom Verge 2. That's nitpicky though. Trying to justify why I would put it there, especially under Astalon. I guess the combat, didn't really dig the combat in Axiom Verge 2. Now again, Axiom Verge 1 had a focus on combat. Axiom Verge 2, it was on the exploration. And I prefer the exploration, but I want the combat to also be really good. This game just had like, bosses, but they were optional except for the very last one. And it had this cool hacking thing. That was all. I loved hacking stuff. But like, it was just, combat was just so secondary. It was almost an afterthought. Like you could swing like an axe and throw a boomerang. And I always forgot about the boomerang. There was boomerang. You could throw boomerangs in the game. And like, it wasn't until you get this one boomerang that like you could control remotely that I remembered I even had the boomerang. And even then, I barely even used the stupid thing. But yeah, like the hacking was cool. And then like the actual, like your melee weapon and your boomerang was just meh, whatever. I was basically just kind of running around, avoiding things. Again, there's like bosses, but you don't have to fight them. I actually didn't hate that. I thought I would hate that. But that was actually kind of cool. I was at, of course I went and took them down. It's not a very difficult game. And then you get like those apocalypse flasks, so you can like level up because there's like a skill tree, which is kind of cool. You don't have that in Axiom Verge 1, but in Axiom Verge 2 you got the skill tree and just this customization, this progression with your main character. Gosh, I really wish I could remember her name off the top of my head. But yeah, take a look at Axiom Verge 2. If you like, a lot of people, they prefer 1 over 2. I'm not that guy. I prefer 2 over 1. They're both fantastic games. You're not gonna do yourself a disservice by playing both. So definitely take a look at Axiom Verge 2. I think it's a great one. I am stoked that Ender Lilies made it into the first episode of this series. If you know me or if you watch the channel, you know that Ender Lilies is one of my favorites, if not my favorite Metroidvania of all time. So I'm not going to bury the lead here. I'm going to go ahead and take this and plop it up here in the S tier because it is a fantastic Metroidvania. One of the best. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, it's a lot like Hollow Knight. And it's like, well, yeah, Hollow Knight's one of the best as well. So like, why wouldn't something that takes a lot of inspiration from Hollow Knight not be up there with Hollow Knight? And I get it. You can like copy something and be like, oh, wow, this is trash. But no, they copied what they needed to copy. And I think it really worked out for them, And so it's like, what did they copy from Hollow Knight? We got the charm system. It's like the relic system in this game. So, but yeah, they got charms. They got a bunch of moves that Hollow Knight. But Hollow Knight, whatever. I'm not going to talk about the abilities. Abilities are pretty derivative in the genre. But anyway, other things like the UI. You got like life bar and everything up top in the top left corner. You got healing that you can use, which obviously was taken from Dark Souls and probably taken even from somewhere beyond that. But Dark Souls pretty much influenced everything ever nowadays. Anyway, yeah, I guess the point is, yeah, Ender Lilies does take a lot of inspiration from Hollow Knight, but I mean, if you're gonna take inspiration from somewhere, take it from the best, man. Ender Lilies does a lot to really kind of make it stick out from the crowd, if I can talk right. And so that's going to be like its presentation. I absolutely love the art style in this game. I love the world that it creates, the world building. The enemies, the designs, the combat. I mean, there's a lot here that's very, very different from a lot of other Metroidvanias. Another thing that's really cool about Ender Lilies is its quality of life, I guess is the best way to put it, but it really respects your time. Like, you can go back to any save point at any time in the pause screen, just pause it and return a save. That's so amazing. And then you can fast travel between any save points. That alone, backtracking, I get it. That's a huge thing in Metroidvanias, but I think we can all agree that the less backtracking we have, the better. I love Metroidvanias and I love to backtrack. I really do. But if there's anything you can do to kind of enhance backtracking or make it not so laborious, I'm going to take it. And so Ender Lilies nails that. Another great thing Ender Lilies does, its map system. Like, if you take a look at its map, it looks like something somebody created in like Visio, or it looks like a flowchart. It's ugly and I don't like to look at it, but it's functional, and it actually has that thing that Resident Evil does, where if you played the Resident Evil remake games, you'll know they'll have like, here's your map and here's like the rooms, right? But each one has like, there's color coding. And so If there's things to be found in that room, it'll be a specific color. But if you found everything, it turns colors, just letting you know, oh, you don't need to go here and search anymore. Ender Lilies does that as well, and that's phenomenal for a Metroidvania. And I know a lot of Metroidvanias try to do something like this. For instance, I just played After Image, and that one you can buy something from a special merchant, and it lets you know how many treasures are in a specific biome, and then it'll like rumble or show something. I can't remember what it does. It does something to let you know, oh, you're near a treasure, so you know, whatever. I mean, that's cool, but I don't know. I just the way that Ender Lilies just gives it to you out the gate, I really like that. I don't know what else I can say about Ender Lilies. Like, you either get it or you don't. I really think it's a fantastic game. Just, gosh, that music, like, everything just gels together to make something. And I guess my big like bias towards it is that I'm a father, and I love this whole like protecting little girl kind of thing that the game does, with the spirits that are all trying to they're just there to protect her, but then she wants to protect her mom, which is another kind of bias on my end. So there's a lot here. It's really good. Apparently they're making a sequel, so I hear. So I'm totally in on that. But if you haven't played Ender Lilies, take a look at it. It's a little tough. It is, especially because like your attacks have quote unquote durability. Like you can equip 3 different spirits. Some have infinite uses, while others have like a very finite amount, where it's like you get like, I don't know, you can like summon like a crow or something and it shoots stuff, and you only have so much shots that it can shoot before you got to refill at the save point or whatever. So yeah, I highly recommend Ender Lilies. Give it a chance, man. It's pretty fantastic. Okay, next up we have Guacamelee 2 and 1. Okay, 1 and 2. So yeah, I made that randomized picker, and it has over 90 games on it, and it picked both Guacamelees. So that's pretty fantastic. I guess first off, I like both of these games. I think they're fantastic, very combat oriented. I like that. They're funny, quote unquote. I don't know what it is about Guacamelee. The game is light-hearted, I suppose, and it does humor. It attempts humor. I don't think it nails the humor. Like, I don't know what it is. It's very much like the humor is referential, right? Where it's like, hey, remember this thing? Isn't that funny that exists? And like, I just look at things like that and I'm like, no, not really. I mean, I like that thing that you're referencing, but is it supposed to be funny because they referenced it? I don't know. I don't get that humor. If you get it, that's great. It's fantastic. But like, I just don't get it. You know, an example of that is there's like this part in Guacamelee 2 where you beat up some car in some dimension, and it's like, you know, very reminiscent of Street Fighter 2. Right, where you beat up the car in the bonus stage. And Guacamelee 2 does that a lot, where there's like dimension hopping, like there's like a limbo like dimension. I'm talking about the game Limbo, and there's like a beat 'em up dimension or something like that. There's like a JRPG dimension. I don't know, I guess they're kind of funny, they're kind of interesting, but really it's just, they just kind of throw it in there, and there it is. And so yeah, if you think that kind of humor is funny, great. If not, you know, like me, I'm just like, you know, it didn't detract from the game. I just didn't get it. Like, there were some things like the Chuzo statues. I thought that was kind of funny because that was, you know, this is a Metroidvania game and it's making fun of Metroidvania tropes. Totally get that. That makes sense to me. But yeah, overall, the humor in the game doesn't hit me too well. There's a lot of memes in it too, and I remember there was like a controversy in the first Guacamelee where there's too many memes, you know, because there'd be like a meme like on a billboard or something like that. And so they actually took a bunch of memes, I think in the second one, and put it in like just a room just full of memes. So, you know, whatever. That's kind of funny. But that's not to say the game, I don't know, man. The game does have, like, he's the Chosen Juan. Like, that's funny. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm a dad, but I'm totally down for puns. That's hilarious. The Chosen Juan? Great. He turns into a chicken and you can fight as a chicken. That's funny. So it's not that the game isn't funny. I just think a lot of its humor isn't the greatest. But I can't believe I talked so much just about the humor in the game. Anyway, the combat's fun. I really like the combat in the game. It does this kind of cheap thing with the abilities that you get, where it's like you get like a headbutt, you get like an uppercut and a ground pound. You know, these are things that you get in most Metroidvanias, but it's cool because everything is combat and traversal related, right? So if I get the fire uppercut, I can, you know, it could basically be my double jump or my triple jump or whatever. So that's really cool. But then it's like the cheapness to it that I alluded to was just like, oh, here's the red block that's blocking you. Make sure you have the red move. You know, it's just like, that's just silly. And like, you know, I said it was cheap, but maybe that's just part of the humor. And I can respect that. But I don't know what else can I say about the game. It is fun. It's like arena based. You get like trapped in rooms and you got to fight all these things. And I love the combat in the game, throwing enemies and doing suplexes and doing all the, trying to get the combos up. That's a whole lot of fun. I can turn it into the chicken and doing things. So yeah, there's a whole lot here. The exploration's really good. I love the map. I think it has a really good map system. There are multiple endings. Gosh, it's been a very long time since I played the first one. But I do remember the second one having multiple endings. The whole like chicken Illuminati thing and whatnot, and getting that. And I remember the platforming too. Guacamelee 2 especially has some really tough platforming things. It really tests your platforming chops. So yeah, I was getting like, man, they were kicking my butt. So yeah, there's a lot to like here. So gosh, okay, so where am I going to put these? So I would put Guacamelee 2. Yeah, we'll do B, and then 1 I'll put right next to it. They're very similar. 2 is obviously better. 2 even has like a co-op. Maybe 1 had the co-op too. I don't remember. I don't have friends, so I don't really get to play games with people unless they're like my daughters or something, and then we're going to be playing like Mario Kart or something like that. So yeah, I didn't really do the co-op in the game, but as a solo experience, yeah, these games are freaking fantastic. So definitely check them out. All right, we got our first dark horse on the list, and that is Redo with an exclamation point, because apparently you got to scream it. But yeah, this is an interesting game. I want to say Redo was created by one person, and they use some very specific gaming tool to create it. I don't know. I didn't do a lot of research before I did this. I just remember playing the game and actually liking it. I thought it was pretty cool. It's you know, I have a very heavy bias in that I can play a lot of Metroidvanias, and even if they suck, I still will find enjoyment in them. I would not say this game sucks, but I would not say it's great. I don't think a lot of people would dig this game. It's fairly short. I remember beating it twice. The first time you beat it, you get like, hold on, let me think about this for a second. So basically, there are 4 endings in the game, but basically there are 2 endings. And so when you first beat the game, you get one of 2 endings, and the ending comes with like a choice. And so whatever you choose, you get that ending, and then you can actually reload and just do the other choice, right? And then you play the game again the second time around, and the game's remixed. The enemies are harder, things are switched all over the place. You get to the end, and you get that choice, but then there's like an extra cutscene because you beat the game the second time. And I don't know, man, I was actually invested in the story and in the world that was created here. And I get it, man. You take a look at this, you're like, really? There's not a whole lot here. But for some reason, I was kind of hooked. And I even played the second harder version. Even though I beat the first one, I was like, man, do I really want to play this? But I did. And I got the quote unquote true endings, and it was stupid. So I don't recommend it. If you play it and you don't like it, just don't. And I had to play it again because it was so new when I first played it. No one had any videos up of the ending, so I was like, well, I have to see these. But anyway, I'm kind of going off here. But yeah, Redo is you're like a girl, and I think you're the last human, and all that's around are like these like biosynthetic monsters or something like that. And there's like I think they're called dolls or something like that, but they were like things created by humans to basically be slaves or something like that. So they still exist with these mutant thingies, but you're the only human, and you get this mysterious voice in your head, and you got to go to like a cathedral or something and talk to this thing. And so anyways, there's lore to the game, and it's interesting. I was interested, at least. Yeah, it hooked me, and so I played through the game a couple of times. The map is okay. God, everything looks kind of janky and kind of it looks like one person made this game. I'm not gonna lie to you. It plays well enough. Like you attack, you get weapons and stuff like that. But yeah, I really had a good time with this game. But I don't know if anyone else would. Maybe you would. I don't know. I'll go ahead. I'll put it in C. It'll be our first C. But yeah, I thought this game was really good. And like I said, I played through it twice and I had a good time. So maybe you would too if you're really into Metroidvanias like I am. So next up we have 2 Shantae games. Now I made that randomized picker and there's 90 something games on it and it chose 2 Shantae games. We got Risky's Revenge and Pirate's Curse. These are definitely video games. I'm actually a huge Shantae fan, but these are kind of weird. So the first one is Risky's Revenge. I'll go ahead and I'll put that as low C. That was a very early game in the series, and like I'm not even gonna lie to you, I hardly remember it. It was fine. It was like a DSiWare game when it first came out, and then eventually it started getting like ported, and ultimately got like a Switch release. I think a physical Switch release from limited run games. But yeah, it's not that great. It's not terrible. It's just not that great. Man, I'm not gonna put it under redo though. I mean, come on, let's be real. Hey, move. There we go. Yeah, it's not gonna go below redo. I'll tell you that. Because it's not a bad game. But yeah, if C is average, this is an average game. Pirate's Curse, on the other hand, is a tough one for me because that is a good game and is probably my favorite Shantae game, if not Seven Sirens. Because I really liked Seven Sirens a lot. Pirate's Curse really isn't a Metroidvania in like the harshest sense, in the purest sense. Because there's no interconnected world. There's backtracking. It has everything else in the Metroidvania genre, but like every level is like self-contained, and so you have like your hub town, and you can pick whatever island or whatever you want to search. I'm not going to be that pedantic because I really think Metroidvania should be on like a scale or on a spectrum, and so yes, I consider Pirate's Curse to be a Metroidvania or a Metroidvania-esque or whatever. Yeah, it's really, really good. I would put it in B, but where in B? I'm actually having some trouble here. I really like Aggelos, however you pronounce that. I'm gonna do it. There it is. Oh, that was rough. That was actually rough. Oh man. So yeah, I really like Aggelos. I think that's such a very, very good video game. But yeah, Shantae's Pirate's Curse, also a great video game. What's cool about that one is like you lose your powers, and so you get like they get very creative with the stuff that you do for your abilities, right? Like you get like the pirate's hat, you get like the pirate's gun, you get all this pirate crap. You get to like this run with your sword. That's really cool. And there's no dancing in it. I actually hate the dancing in Shantae. It takes up a lot of time because you got to sit there and it cycles through, and then you turn into the animal or whatever. In what's it? The Seven Sirens, they actually fixed it where like you can turn into the animals with a button press, and the dancing is something, whatever. We're not talking about that game. They do eventually, I guess what I'm saying is they do eventually fix the obnoxious dancing, but in Pirate's Curse there was zero dancing, so I was down for that. It just seemed very, very much more streamlined, and it's a really fantastic game. So there you go. I don't know how controversial that's going to be, putting it under Aggelos, but God, I love Aggelos. I think it's a great game. Now we come to the final game for this episode, and that is SteamWorld Dig 2. If you saw my first video I ever made, where I'm ranking the top 10 Metroidvanias of all time, this actually made the list. Now, I will say I've played a few more Metroidvanias since that video, and this would get bumped at this point. I've played some other Metroidvanias that I think are superior to SteamWorld Dig 2. However, SteamWorld Dig 2 is still one of the greats. So I'm going to go put it right here. So yeah, I think it's a B. I think Axiom Verge 2, I liked it a little bit better because of the story. And I think that's really the big thing with SteamWorld Dig 2 is like the story isn't all that great. It's fine. It moves things along. But the big thing with SteamWorld Dig 2 is just that gameplay loop, man. It's just of digging and finding stuff, and then taking the stuff you find and getting yourself better equipment so you can dig better and find better stuff. Like, just the loop itself is just fantastic. And then you got like all the different things to traverse the area. You know, you got the hook shot, you got a jetpack, all kinds of cool stuff. I really think SteamWorld Dig 2 is one of the best Metroidvanias. I don't remember 1 too much. I might have to go take a look at that one, but I remember 2 just being like leagues over 1. So, but yeah, if you get a chance, play SteamWorld Dig 2. That's a fun little game. Thanks for hanging out with me today. What do you think of the list so far? I think it's shaping up to look pretty good. If anyone looks through the picker thing that I shared at the beginning of the video and they notice that there's some titles missing, let me know in the comments below and I can add them later. I know there's some titles that I missed, like Euphoria for the NES off the top of my head. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Like and subscribe if you're cool.